Welcome to RPG PhD. I'm Dr. Ben, and today we're going to talk about a game design principle I call crispy edge, soft middle. The idea is simple. Your mechanics give you a crisp, unambiguous outcome, that's the edge, but they leave room for creative interpretation in the fiction, that's the soft middle. It's a way to keep play fast, fair, and flexible all at once. In this episode, we'll explore where this approach comes from, why it works, where it can go wrong, and how to design it into your own games. We'll also look at examples from a range of tabletop role-playing games so you can see it in action. Some mechanics slam down a clear, unambiguous result. No arguing, no wobble. Others invite players to color outside the lines. The sweet spot? Systems with a crispy edge and a soft middle. The outcome is crisp, but the how stays elastic. So what do we mean by crispy edge, soft middle? Before we can talk about the strengths or weaknesses of this approach, we need to define it. Crispy edge. The resolution procedure yields a definitive result. Pass-fail, degree of success, fixed progress. Players know what happened. Think, the die is red, the clock advances, the tag applies. No hemming and hawing. This is the mechanics piece in the MDA model, the formal rules that produce predictable dynamics and ultimately player-facing aesthetics. Soft middle. The fiction around that result is deliberately capacious. Players and game masters negotiate how it looks, what trade-offs they accept, and how consequences land. This sits at the intersection of rules and make-believe, what Jesper Juul calls games being half real, real rules inside an imagined world. A helpful precursor here is the Forge's fortune in the middle role, early to set trajectory, then make consequential choices before the fiction locks. That's an example of crisp edge, soft middle. Game designers don't just stumble onto this balance. They reach for it intentionally because it solves specific problems in play. So here we'll talk about the design goals it supports, from reducing disputes to sparking player creativity. Clarity without calcification. Crisp procedures reduce disputes and pacing stalls. The soft middle keeps the fiction lively and player-driven. Salen and Zimmerman frame this tension as games as rules versus games as play, two lenses you can intentionally balance. Creativity through constraints. Boundaries spur invention. Players riff harder when there's a clear frame to push against. One account of this is play as expressive, appropriate activity fits neatly here. Rules invite but don't dictate expression. Friction light authority. When the procedure is crisp, authority debates drop. When the middle is soft, authorship spreads. Many modern systems formalize this distribution. To make this more than just theory, let's walk through some well-known role-playing game systems that build crispy edges with soft middles right into their core mechanics. Each example will highlight a slightly different way to strike that balance. Powered by the Apocalypse move bands. So crisp, the move outcome band is fixed. 10 plus, strong hit, 7 to 9, a hit with a cost, 6, trouble. Everyone knows the edge. Soft, which cost, what trouble. Those are negotiated in fiction via Game Master moves and table tone. The design bakes in to do it, and provokes fiction-first play. So one takeaway is to use discrete success bands that mandate consequence, but leave which consequence open. Blades in the dark. Position and effect. This is crisp. Before the roll, the table sets position. After the roll, the procedure dictates how hard consequences bite and how much progress you make. Soft. The exact consequence and fictional setup. Assists. Setup action. Devil's bargains. Are negotiated moment to moment. Tools like progress clocks give fixed advancement with flexible narration. One takeaway here is to separate risk from impact to keep outcomes crisp while keeping costs or color pliable. Fate aspects evoke and compel. Crisp. Invoke costs a fate point and yields a bounded mechanical benefit. Compels pay or charge fate points and enforce a twist or constraint. That's a clean economy. Soft. What counts as a relevant aspect? What fiction justifies a compel? That's negotiated on the spot, explicitly tying mechanics to emergent fiction. One takeaway is to couple hard currency with flexible narrative tags. Gumshoe, core clues, crisp. If you have the right investigative ability, you get the clue. No plot stalls. Soft. How that clue manifests and how you interpret or spin it is open, preserving player authorship in the mystery's unfolding. So one takeaway is make the must-haves automatic. Leave the meaning and follow-through to play. Let's look at OSR. Rulings, not rules. Crisp, classic procedures like reaction rolls, morale, and time turn tracking create hard structure. The ruling happens inside those frames. Soft, the game master interprets edge cases fictionally. Critiques within the scene argue the slogan alone is insufficient without scaffolding, useful context for designing the soft middle responsibly. One takeaway is a soft philosophy still benefits from crisp scaffolds. Even mainstream games nudge toward this balance. The current basic rules on D&D Beyond literally instruct the dungeon master to adjudicate the rules so they serve the group's fun. Crisp procedures, flexible calls. Once we've seen the idea in action, we can break it down into its component parts. This section is about the building blocks you can mix and match when designing your own mechanics to hit that same sweet spot. So here's some design ingredients you can mix and match. Fictional trigger, formal procedure. Clear, when X, roll Y triggers reduce argument. The fiction decides if the procedure fires, not how it resolves. You can see Powered by the Apocalypse to do it. For an example, bounded result sets enumerate a few discrete outcomes. So strong, weak, standard, limited. This is your crisp edge, like Blades in the Dark. Choiced after fortune. Allow post-roll choices, accept harm for greater effect, spend currency to mitigate, escalate risk for position. That's fortune in the middle in action. Progress structures. You can use clocks, tracks for clarity. Fiction determines how ticks happen, not whether they tick. A small visible economy, fate points, stress. Tight currencies that buy flexibility and signal table values. Let it ride. Don't re-roll the same uncertainty. One crisp result carries forward, sparing relitigation and preserving momentum. This is Burning Wheel's exemplar principle. So here we'll look at some upsides, how crispy edge soft middle mechanics help with pacing, creativity, and genre emulation, and even game master prep. MDA predicts that clean mechanics create reliable dynamics, which increases trust. Expressive play. The soft middle invites player creativity and shared authorship, consistent with Powered by the Apocalypse's agendas, principles, and Fate's aspect conversations. Genre delivery. Move bands, position and effect, and core clues are targeted tools that reliably produce genre behaviors. Gritty heist, soap opera complications, competent investigation. Lower prep burden. With flexible consequence menus and progress tracks, game masters prep threats and dials, not branching flowcharts. It's tempting for designers to sidestep the work of formalizing mechanics by simply telling game masters, the rules are a guideline, be flexible. On the surface, this sounds freeing. It grants permission to adapt, improvise, and serve the fiction. But without codified tools to support that flexibility, this approach can create serious problems, especially for less experienced or less confident game masters. Ambiguity isn't always freedom. The issue, vague guidance puts all interpretive responsibility on the game master without boundaries to anchor decisions. Why codifying helps. A crispy edge, soft middle mechanic gives game masters a defined starting point, the crisp outcome, and a limited time-agreed space to improvise, the soft middle. For example, roll to hit on a 7 to 9, pick one cost from this list is easier to run than hit, but maybe there's a complication, it's up to you. Reduces cognitive load in the moment. So the issue is during play, game masters are juggling pacing, non-player character dialogue, scene framing, rules recall, and player spotlight. Deciding how flexible to be in the abstract is just another mental burden. But with predefined cost menus, consequence types, or position or effect bands, the Game Master simply picks or offers a choice from the mechanic instead of inventing something from scratch. So for example, Blades in the Dark doesn't say be flexible, it codifies consequence categories: harm, lost opportunity, worst position, etc., giving the Game Master quick handles. Consistency across sessions and tables. The issue: if flexibility is purely subjective, the same action can be treated wildly differently from week to week or between two Game Masters running the same adventure. That inconsistency can frustrate players and erode trust in the system. Codifying helps because a defined, crisp outcome ensures that similar situations resolve in similar ways while still allowing the fiction to adapt. For example, in Fate, an aspect invoke always costs a fate point for a +2, no matter who's running it. But why the aspect applies is still negotiated in the moment. Safety for new or insecure GMs. The issue: not every Game Master is confident in improvising consequences or adjusting difficulty on the fly. Be flexible can feel like make up good stuff instantly without guidance. Codifying helps because it gives new Game Masters scaffolding, a safety net of predefined edges and flexible middles, so they can improvise without fear of getting it wrong. For example, a soft middle cost menu doesn't remove creativity, it sparks it by giving a clear starting choice. Protects against bias and unfairness. So the issue is pure flexibility invites subconscious favoritism, uneven difficulty, or accidental bias. Not because the GM is malicious, but because human judgment is subjective. So codifying helps because crisp outcomes and transparent consequence structures make rulings visible to everyone, which encourages fairness. If everyone knows, for example, that partial success means reduced effect or a consequence, then it's clear the Game Master isn't just punishing one player more than another. Telling a Game Master to be flexible is like telling a chef to make something tasty without recipes, ingredient lists, or cooking techniques. Some will nail it, others will freeze, overseason, or undercook. Codifying the crispy edge, soft middle into the rules doesn't remove flexibility, it focuses it. The crisp edge gives everyone a fair, reliable baseline. The soft middle ensures there's still space for creativity, tone, and table culture. So now let's talk about some criticisms and objections to crispy edge, soft middle design. No design approach exists in a vacuum. While many designers praise the balance of clarity and creativity in crispy edge, soft middle systems, others see it as an awkward halfway point that satisfies neither extreme. So let's look at some of the main criticisms from those who prefer different philosophies of play. Ambiguity slows play. One of the most common objections is that the soft portion of the mechanic, where the table interprets, negotiates, or narrates the outcome, can bog down pacing. Critics argue that in systems with highly tactical or time-sensitive play, the extra conversation after a roll turns what could be a 30-second resolution into a multi-minute debate. Tournament-style modules, wargame-inspired RPGs, or speed-focused one-shots often lean toward mechanics with no interpretive layer to avoid this slowdown. It puts too much power in the Game Master's hands. In a game where the Game Master mediates the soft middle, critics worry that the balance of narrative authority skews heavily toward one person, which can lead to inconsistent rulings from session to session, hidden bias that favors or punishes certain players, the illusion of choice where all soft options lead to the same end. Some simulationist designers argue that this undermines the very purpose of codified rules, which is to reduce Game Master fiat and ensure fairness through predictable resolution. It breaks immersion by revealing the mechanics. Certain players and designers believe that any post-roll negotiation or visible adjustment erodes immersion. In these cases, the moment of fortune, rolling dice, drawing cards, is meant to be the moment of resolution. If that result is then modified or reframed in conversation, the argument goes, the fiction is disrupted and the player's sense of in-world continuity suffers. Too much fiction, not enough game. Gamers who prefer procedural rigor often see the soft middle as diluting the game part of role-playing games. If players can always reinterpret a role to fit their desired fiction, detractors feel the system loses its teeth. They feel that the consequences aren't really enforced by mechanics, but by social contract and game master discretion. This is especially pointed criticism from players who enjoy the puzzle or challenge aspect of tabletop role-playing games and want rules to be the arbiter, not table consensus. It muddies competitive balance. For systems where balance is important, whether in PvP, tournament modules, or games with structured resource competition, a soft interpretive layer can introduce disparities between tables. One group's reduced effect might be another group's essentially still a full success. Without standardization, the fairness and comparability between play experiences can erode. Players don't always want narrative negotiation. Some tables, especially those with newer players, find the open-ended nature of the soft middle stressful. Rather than feeling liberated by choice, these players may feel put on the spot, unsure of what you're allowed to narrate or anxious about saying the wrong thing. For these groups, fully crisp systems that clearly dictate results can be less intimidating and more accessible. It can feel like house rules disguised as core rules. A final sharper criticism is that crispy edge soft middle systems sometimes use mechanics as a thin wrapper for what is essentially negotiated free-form play. From this perspective, the crisp portion is just a prompt, and the actual play experience relies on table culture, not the rules themselves. Skeptics ask, if the system already depends heavily on trust and table agreement, why not just run a pure freeform or rules-like game instead of pretending the rules are doing the work? Now let's talk about designing crispy edge soft middle mechanics in a system agnostic way. When you're not tied to a specific system, you can focus on principles and patterns that fit your table's needs. The idea is to lock down what the mechanic does, the crisp edge, while letting the table breathe around how it plays out, the soft middle. So start with a clear trigger explanation. Players should know exactly when to roll or apply the mechanic. The crisp edge starts here. If you meet this condition, the mechanic fires. Limit the result set explanation. Have only a few distinct outcomes that are mechanically meaningful. This keeps the edge crisp while avoiding decision paralysis. So, for example, it might be success, success with a cost, or failure, full effect, reduced effect, no effect. Progress plus bonus, progress plus consequence. The table knows the shape of what's about to happen, even if the details are a little soft. Bake in post-outcome choices. After a result is determined, let players make a choice that changes how it affects the fiction. This is where the soft middle lives. Example, you succeed but take damage, or succeed more slowly with no damage. You can improve your effect by exposing yourself to greater danger. Players feel agency beyond the die roll, and the fiction adapts to their priorities. Use progress structures. Tracks, clocks, or step counters make success tangible without dictating the full story. For example, a 4-step vault door clock, each success ticks it forward, but the method, lockpicking, explosives, bribery, is open to creativity. This keeps goals visible and measurable while leaving the how wide open. Create cost menus. For partial successes, give a short list of consequence types the player chooses from, or the game master picks with their consent. So some example costs might be lose resources, take harm, advance a threat, reduce effect. Boundaries make the decision fast, but choice maintains agency. Tie mechanics to fictional position. Let the fictional setup influence the crisp numbers, but keep that influence transparent and repeatable. For example, if you're well prepared, you get strong position. If you're rushing, desperate position. Fictional decisions matter, but the translation to mechanics is consistent. Protect the edge. Don't let the soft middle creep so far that the crisp edge loses its meaning. If the outcome says progress 2 steps, don't rewrite it as actually you finish immediately, unless that's a clearly defined rule exception. The crisp result is the anchor. Bending it too often erodes trust in the mechanic. Teach the table the middle. The soft middle is a learned skill. Provide guidance, examples, and principles so everyone can use it confidently. So for example, an action trigger might be when you try to cross a dangerous gap, you roll a d6. The crisp result set is 5 to 6 is a success, a 3 to 4 is a success with a cost, a 1 to 2 is failure. Post-outcome choice, soft middle, on a success with a cost, choose. Drop an item to make it across safely. Take 1 harm from the strain. Make it across noisily, alerting enemies. The roll and result are fixed and fast, but the consequence and fictional details are flexible and also player-driven. How to retrofit this into your game? So first of all, name the uncertainty. What exact thing should be crisp? Hit bands, clock ticks, XP triggers? Write that down as a bounded list. Cap the menu. For each partial success or failure, list 2 to 3 consequence types max. Avoid open-ended anything bad happens. Expose the dials. Put position effect or equivalent dials on your sheet so players can suggest changes. Give a currency. Even 3 to 5 points a session lets players buy clarity, push luck, or accept drama. If you add it, define when it flows. Codify when to roll. Fictional triggers prevent rules lawyering and ensure rolls happen for a reason. Let it ride. Explicitly prevent re-rolling the same intent. It's the simplest pace booster you can write. Teach the table. Include a 1-page principle sheet for game masters and players. If the soft middle is a learned behavior, say so. So when not to use this approach? Like any tool, crispy edge soft middle isn't right for every job. So let's talk about situations where it's better to lean fully crisp or fully soft and why this balance might not serve your design goals. If you need simulationist granularity. If your design goal is to model step-by-step physics, hyper-detailed tactical engineering, a softer middle may feel like hand-waving. Even mainstream games remind us rules aren't physics, but some tables want that texture. If you have very new or very rules-anxious players, too much negotiation can feel like work. Start with smaller menus and visible examples. If you're writing tournament modules or adversarial formats, you need adjudication invariance there. Keep the middle narrower and emphasize the edge. Gumshoe's Core Clues is a good model of invariance. Crispy edge soft middle isn't just a vibe, it's a toolbox. Just keep the menu short, the triggers explicit, and the currency honest. So that's the crispy edge soft middle approach to tabletop role-playing game design. Clear outcomes, open interpretation, and a balance of structure and creativity baked into the rules themselves. It's not the only way to make a game work, but it's a powerful tool when you want mechanics that push the story forward without boxing it in. If you've got your own favorite example of a mechanic that nails this balance, drop it in the comments below. I would love to hear it. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow game masters and designers. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.